Welcome to the Girl Sis Man Podcast.
For the girls we were.
For the sisters we became. And the women we're becoming.
We did it. It took like 5 million tries because I kept saying mom.
It's okay. Like, everyone has their moment. We're going to get this down for you guys, y'all.
We'll get it down. But welcome to our second episode. I'm Lola, Paola, whatever is easier. Please just don't call me Paula.
That's my gosh. I'm Esther. It's just Esther. There's nothing else you can call me.
Esther Alexis.
There's Esther Alexis. Like that's like the name. But like I'm just saying people call me Esther. That's it.
That's true. So this is Esther. I'm Lola.
And welcome back.
I hope you guys had a great little week. It's the second or third week of January. It's zooming by real quick.
Oh my gosh. So the weeks, in my opinion, are long, but like the month is so short.
It is. Imagine February, because it's only like 29 days this year.
Okay, so 2021 February, I have high expectations. Valentine's Day, someone got to take me out. I say that like no one has asked me out. I'm just saying I want to actually be asked out by someone I want to go out with for Valentine's Day.
Gotcha. Let's just hope, it's a special someone. Makes you feel extra special.
Have a Zoom date and be like, hey...
Maybe an actual date. Maybe you guys wore your mask and it was safe. You get some good food.
And listen, if I have to wear a mask on a date, I'm not doing makeup. I'm just not going to do it anymore. Lola's like, absolutely not. I'm beating my face to the gods.
Yes.
I just don't have the strength, I feel like, to put on a full face and then throw a mask on top. Like,
I got these little devices from Amazon. Someone had DM'd me because she's like, I thought of you, and you put it on and it doesn't touch your face, the mask. It's like a little plastic thing, even jiggy.
Like a little ring.
Yeah, and then your lipstick doesn't get smudged, and it's actually really nice and easy to use. So
for some reason, that reminds me of a muzzle.
It really is a muzzle, though.
Okay.
It is. You right on the head.
Okay, good. Ooh, so this week's topic. For pop topic culture, we're talking Lori Harvey.
Yeah, so how this came about is that Esther has this wonderful idea on her Instagram to do a Man Crush Monday, right? It's a play on Man Crush Monday. And she's like, let's do Lori Harvey. And I was like, oh, okay. And explain why you wanted to pick Lori.
So I wanted to pick Lori Harvey as our first Man Crush Monday because I was like, the girl just turned 24, right? She is beautiful, she is young, and she's a savage. And I think she's a representation of what being young and just taking chances look like. I mean, romantically, professionally, just going out there and exploring, right? Lola's face already tells you her opinion.
Yeah.
She disagreed.
I disagree. You said professionally. What does Lori Harvey do?
Well, she's a model, for one
thing.
An
Instagram model, yes.
Okay, she's walked a few runways.
Which runways?
You know I don't know these things. You know,
you just don't put.
She has. Google it. We'll be here. Google it.
Listen.
Google
if someone's argument, Google it.
She has watched. She has walked on runways. Look it up. I looked it up. That's why I'm confident in telling her to look it up. Okay?
So she walked in Dolce & Gabbana spring.
Dolce & Gabbana, okay? So we're not talking Forever 21 fashions. Dolce & Gabbana.
But she's not okay.
I'm not going to say she's a runway model, but she's a model.
Okay.
That can encompass different, tiers of modeling.
Okay.
I think that also, she's obviously an influencer as well.
That's what I feel like is her profession. But.
Okay. She does a little bit, and some influencers model and stuff as well, so I'll give you that. So, and I'm just like, but listen, my thing is, if you're doing what makes you happy, if that also includes, picking up your coins, finessing on these motherfuckers, I'm all about it. I like the energy. And I'm not saying that she is the golden standard of what 20-something-year-olds should be aspiring to be, but I'm like, the overall broad representation that is Lori Harvey, which is living your best life, being beautiful, having a good time, being young, making mistakes, moving on, that's what I like.
I hear you and I agree, but the thing is, there are people who are looking at her as the golden standard of what they want to be in their mid-20s. And let's just be very honest. She's beautiful, but she would not be a model if she didn't have the connections, right? Her parents are famous and rich. If she could be an Instagram model on her own, but I don't think she's doing anything special. And that's why I'm like, people are like, oh my God, it's so great. What's so great? She's dating a really rich, handsome-looking man. Is that the goals in life that we're trying to reach?
I mean, are we just calling anyone super rich and super handsome these days?
Okay, Michael B. Jordan. People are like, oh, she's dating Michael. She bagged the ultimate prize, and it's like,
This is the ultimate prize.
For some people, he is. And what I'm saying is, I don't think she's doing anything inherently bad. And I'm like, shame on Lori Harvey, but I don't think she's doing anything inherently great. She's dating. You know who also dates? Other 24-year-olds. And the only reason why we give a shit is because she's pretty. Because if Lori Harvey was a regular looking, basic in the face, woman with basic body, doing the same things, what would we be calling her? All types of things outside of a child of God. Not you, but you know. What would have they said?
Honestly, to be sincere with you, I think it's a good thing. Here's my thing. Let me tell you why.
What would they call them? Answer my question.
But here's my thing.
What would they call her?
Listen, I agree with hold on now.
She don't try to dance around it. What would they call her?
Maybe they would call her, a woman of the world. An experienced woman.
They would have slut-shamed her.
Okay, but they slut-shamed also, what's her name? Candace, who played on Full House. And that's because her husband had his hand on her boob in a picture. So literally all of the world has something to say about women in general. And I think it's because we've allowed the patriarchy to call women out of their God-given names for so long that we as women feel like it's okay to go up to other women and be like, well, you're pretty and that's why I'm not going to call you this. But if you weren't, I would call you this. How about I just call you Lori? The name God assigned you, okay?
I think she just has pretty privilege. And that's what I want people to realize. That what she's doing is not bad. I don't think she's being a slut. And I don't think anyone should ever call her one. What I'm saying is she's doing what every other young woman her age is doing. And nobody ever goes, go girl, get it.
Oh my gosh, yes I do.
So if I was dating a dude, and then I dated his dad, then I dated another dude who flew me out to Jamaica, then I started dating another dude, and then I started dating another dude, and another dude, you gonna be like, go girl, get it?
Yes.
Esther.
I'm standing 10 toes down in it, and let me tell you why. Because it's your 20s. You're supposed to be going out and exploring. You're supposed to be going out and having a good time. If I can get flown out in my 20s, that would be lit.
Okay.
I don't know what we would be doing when we got there, because, yeah.
Well, if you got flew out.
If you got, in no way, shape, or form do I feel like that makes you any more immoral than anyone else.
I don't think so. What I'm saying is
but I would still hype your game. I would love to see you, out here flossing and finessing these niggas, girl.
I feel like my issue is that if we make Lori Harvey the standard of what we want, we need to also understand that is not the life that we will lead. The things that we
will have different repercussions,
and that's what I'm talking about. Okay. Is that a lot of young women are going to see this and be like, okay, cool, I could do this. You can do this, but all I'm telling you is you're not getting Lori Harvey results, and it doesn't mean that you're less worthy and that you deserve to be belittled. All I'm just saying is, lady is in a different ball game, in a different arena, and when we live this life where you're like, oh, I want to copy what influencers do or celebrities, you're going to be very sadly disappointed. And that's what I'm talking about. And also, if a man was doing that, we would have called him a dog.
Actually, here's my thing though. Men do that all the time.
They do.
Men do it all the time. So much and so that cute. it's the standard for them. It's like the regular degular.
And it's not
so we're not calling every man out of his name though. I feel like particularly as women, we are more merciful or even graceful towards men in the way that we critique them. Mm-hmm. It could be because the masculinity, the ego, I don't know if it's fragile. I don't know what that is. Mm-hmm. That's a whole nother topic for another day. But I feel like oftentimes we don't come at men for that. We know that men do women dirty on the regular. You can assume that if you are dating a man, that someone in his past has been wronged by him. Period, point blank. But we're not you're a terrible person. Da-da-da-da. We're calling you out. We're not. We are just not. Let's just keep it a buck. We are not. Only do we call the dirtiest of the dirtiest, the lowest of the low by their names, outside of their God-given names. And that's it. Really, we don't. We don't.
I mean, there's a whole movement of men are trash. I mean, have you been on Twitter? All I'm saying
I'm not on Twitter.
Well, that might be it. I'm not on Twitter either, but I can see the threads. There's a whole movement of these men are trash. They're garbage. All I'm saying is, I don't think she's doing anything extraordinary. God bless Lori. She's beautiful. She's got great set of hair. It's very thick and full. I love her with Michael B. Jordan, but I don't think it's anything she's not curing cancer. She's not doing
How many women are doing that, though?
there are women in sciences trying to cure cancer.
But I'm saying, but how many women, like, of the global population of women, what percentage of women are out there curing cancer, are out there, you know, doing these great works, being Mother Teresa?
I don't have a percentage, but
my thing is, like, the average person, like, if I walk up and down this block, I'm not going to find scientists, and I'm not going to find nuns, and I'm not going to find angels that have magically tripped and fallen out of heaven. She's just a regular person, but I think that she represents to the generation. Just like, go off, girl. Get you know, finesse these niggas, floss your gear, girl. Like I told my girl Sabrina said the other day, but literally just go out there and have a good time. Sometimes that's the thing. I think that we make life, and particularly certain like areas in our lives, like our 20s, so serious and so. We just make it a place where we're supposed to be perfect and things are supposed to be always right. And no, it's not. In the same way that you getting a doctorate is a great thing, next week you just chilling is also a great thing. That's my thing.
That's your thing, but you know that's not what they're applauding. Esther, people were like, there was a tweet that I saw, do you want Sierra's prayer or do you want Lori's finesse? And the truth of the matter is,
what do you want? What do you want?
I think I want Sierra's prayer, but maybe there are people who are in I want Lori's finesse phase, and that's fine. All I'm saying is, it's just not that. It's not helping women anywhere.
I think that there is a time and place for Lori's finesse, and there is a time and place for Sierra's prayer. And so in my 20s, you're going to have to excuse me while I finesse. Okay? And once I get to my late 20s, I will be in the humble sanctuary saying Sierra's prayer. That's my thing. I'm like, let us applaud, recognize, and appreciate the seasons that we are in. And I think for most 20-something-year-olds, we want to be in the season of finesse. And that's okay. Because you know what? In that finesse, you know what you want to pray about. It is in your finesse that you learn what your prayer must have in order for you to be happy later down the line. You got to finesse. There's a time and a place for everything. There's a season for everything under the sun, and I'm standing by that comment.
That's it. I just feel like I hear what you're saying. I agree in the sense of, like, it's wonderful she's doing what she's doing. I just don't think it's anything I will be writing home about.
Yes, okay, I will agree there with you. I'm not going to write home about it and be like, I finessed somebody today.
Exactly.
But, again, there is a season for everything under the sun. And there is season of finesse. And it is okay. I think particularly these 20-year-olds are applauding her because we are in our seasons of finesse.
Okay, but why? Okay, for me, if you're finessing somebody, that means you are not tricking them. You're getting your way with whatever you want. Being a savage, if you think about it, is hella manipulative. It is not good characteristics. These are not good qualities that you want in a partner. And I get it. Maybe right now you're not looking to settle down and do this stuff. But, like, if you believe in karma, if you believe in the things that you do, if the seeds that you sow, you will reap them. Listen, ma'am. Listen, it'll come back around listen. I'm just saying, do unto others as you would like others to do unto you.
But why does finesse have to be a negative thing? Like, we're putting it in a negative connotation. And that's the thing.
How do you finesse someone in a good way?
Finesse, sweetheart, I'm just charming you. I'm charming my way into your life. And that could be for the better. We don't know how that's going to end. Mm-hmm. Don't assume that the finesse is me playing you. If I was going to play you, I would run game. And that's totally different from finessing. Okay.
Esther, you live in the world, and you think these young men and women are out here finessing people for the better?
Yes.
Esther!
No. Okay.
For the better?
Lola.
For the better people?
Lola.
I want to hear someone tell me. I want to...
y'all will have to let us know in the comments.
Yes, tell me.
But there is a difference between finesse and running game.
Okay. I want someone to tell me, hey, I was dating a young lady or a young man, and he finessed me, and it was a great time, and I enjoyed it, and it made me a better person.
How do you define finesse?
Finessing is getting your way with something to get something. Is that not what it is? And maybe the definition, you are doing something, right? And listen, you could use finesse, you can say work, you can say manipulate. You're getting, this is what you want, and it's going through this person to get it. You're finessing them to get to what you want. Maybe it's their attention.
You know what? That might be the thing. We have different definitions of finesse. Finesse to me is
getting what you want by charming people, is it not?
Ma'am. You know, how about this? How about we look up the word finesse?
Let's do this right now.
We got the time.
We got the time. I got the fingers. Finesse is a slang word that refers to persuading or manipulating someone. The term comes from the charisma you require to convince people to do things for you. Finessing is often done when getting a person to do something that he normally would not want to do. And it is similar to buttering up or working a person. Males who often finesse women are known as players. So, that is the definition.
So, as usual, the dictionary is incorrect. And I, for one, am not going to stand here and be sullied. As usual, the Urban Dictionary, I don't know who is writing it, but they're not from the hood. They're not from the urban that I'm from. All right? Here's my definition of finesse. You just having a good old time. You charming, you know what I'm saying? You hot kikiing with somebody.
I got a question. You ever heard the phrase, you can't finesse a finesser? What does that mean?
I've never heard that a day in my life. I've never heard that a day in my life. I have never heard that a day in my life.
Have you guys heard? I've heard that you can't finesse a finesser.
No.
Okay.
I've heard you can't play a player.
Okay, so that is literally the same thing.
I don't believe so.
Okay, I'm going to go on Urban Dictionary, okay? Finesse, getting something taken from you in a slick way. When you get
what I have taken from you is your defense, and what I am giving to you in return is a heart.
Maybe you're a good-hearted finesser. Maybe you do it in a good way, and maybe someone will comment, hey, Esther finessed me and I enjoyed it and it was a great time and I'm a better person. But most people are not getting finessed in a good way.
Listen, here's what I'm saying, and this is what it comes down to for me, in my opinion. I'm just very tired of women having to carry the onus of responsibility and morality every time they are in a dating situation or when they are in a relationship, platonic, professional, or otherwise. They have to be, thoughtful and caring and, all of these synonyms that mean that you cannot for once, just worry about yourself. You know what? In the same way, we live in a world, no offense, where it is doggy eat doggy. I don't know if that is the actual...
Doggy word.
A doggy dog world, okay? And for once, can we not, as women, have to carry the onus of morality? For once, no. And let me say this, because men get to walk around out there and do...
Okay.
Men get to walk around out there and do whatever they want, okay? And then they end up married with 48 kids, a picket fence, a beautiful home. Meanwhile, all I did was talk to 2 people on Tinder at once, and I have to go into the confessional with the priest. I won't do it, okay? The onus of responsibility of morality does not fall on the shoulders of women alone, and I'm tired of us being forced to carry that burden because we are women. I applaud Lori. You wanna know why? I applaud her because for once, women are allowed to move, finesse how they want to without being critiqued as a harlot, okay? Good for you, girl. Good for you. I will not stand here and allow anyone to defecate on the accomplishment, okay? I will not allow any of it to happen in my presence, girl. You won one for the team. We need more finesses on the team of women. You want to know why? Because I'm tired of being finessed in these streets.
It comes out. The truth comes out. She said, not anymore.
I'm a finesser of good heart. Women are finessers of good heart. Like, even when we finesse, I'm not gonna lie. The Diddy and the son thing, that was nasty. That was just nasty. Come on. It don't matter how much you finesse. Unless that young man played you and you had to finesse. But listen, I'm just saying, I think that women, yes. I think that for women, finessing is different. We're more so like, we'll date openly. We'll do whatever. But even that is critiqued and like slut shamed if women are dating multiple guys at once. Whereas when men are doing it, it's normal. It's a part of that age, whatever. It's absolutely okay.
So growing up, I remember distinctly men being applauded for dating around, right? I remember my mom telling my cousin, how many girlfriends you have? And I remember distinctly having a disdain for that. I don't like it when men are applauded for being, these worldly men who got all these women. I don't think it's cute. So if I don't like it here, I don't like it there. I understand that we've never had the opportunity. And you say, well, why can't men do this? If I think these things are horrible qualities in men, I don't want to replicate it. This is sexist, might think women are the sensible gender. So if we are a little bit superior, why would you act like all these horrible things? All I'm saying is, I wouldn't applaud a man. I don't think they should be applauded for it. So I'm not going to applaud you for doing it. I don't think the onus needs to be put on Lori about her relationships and called a harlot. All I'm just saying is she's 24. We don't know if they're going to end up together. She's going to date 5 other dudes. We're going to applaud her every time she dates a dude? Are we?
I will, Lori. You will always have me in your corner. Call me, girl. If you need an advocate, I will be here for you.
I am not going to go in her comments and desecrate her and tell her she's every other thing but a child of God. I just also be like, oh, that's cute. Keep pushing.
Listen, no, in that sense, I agree with you. I do. But I do feel like, as you mentioned, I think that men have been praised. How many girlfriends do you have?
Exactly.
Whereas women have not had that opportunity. We've not had that autonomy. So to see a young woman, a young woman wielding her autonomy so freely, so liberally, if you will, it's just refreshing to see. And that's what I like. Okay?
I can see that.
And I like that she's not being slut shamed or chastised for it. I think that that's important because I think that there is growth in that, by the way. It's not always, oh, that's just nasty. You know what I mean? There is growth to come from these things. To a certain extent, I don't even think that, you have to be in these monogamous relationships in your 20s. I think that you should date around. You should find out what you want. You know what I mean?
There was one point I did applaud Lori. So we know Future and his dog dirty ways. So when she finessed him, I was like, oh, this is karma. This is retribution. This is all the things that you were sowing, Future, and now you're reaping the benefits through Lori. So I was like, okay, cool. And then she got back with him. And then I was confused. I was like, no. You finessed once. You just got to go. So I understand. I agree with they never had the space. And you know what? Maybe I should just, if I don't agree with it, just move to the side and let her live her life. And those who support
exactly.
Support
That's what I'm saying.
I apologize if you feel like I was coming at you, Lori, and anybody. I just, you're a lovely young lady. It's great.
But exactly, y'all. We're going to make that lane for you, and we are going to keep it pushing. Everybody in their own lane. So we are going to applaud the women who are doing what they, gotta do, and that's it. That's all.
Missy Elliott said it best. He said, girls, get that cash. Whether it's a 9 to 5 or shaking that ass, Wherever you fall in between that gray area.
But when we do talk about, making that lane for yourself and kind of just exploring what works for you and what doesn't, I think that your 20s is a particularly incredible time to do so, right? So this particular episode, we didn't come up with a title for this.
I think it's going to be called Finessing the Finesser.
Really?
Getting the finesse, because we're going to talk about imposter syndrome and things like that. Just finesse. We'll figure it out, the title. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
TBD.
That's to be announced. To be determined.
Oh, to be determined. See, TBD. She's the brains of this operation.
I'm clearly not. But, okay, so in your 20s, I think that it's your 20s in general are recognized as a period of time wherein you really come into oneself, right? We really, take the reins of our life and kind of, try to figure it out and navigate it the best that we can. Admittedly, I don't know that millennials have been doing that as much, and I think it's because we've been given different circumstances. And I'm not necessarily going to say that we are so much different from the generations that have come before us, but I feel like every generation has their hurdles, and one hurdle that the millennial generation has come across is the inability to really step into adulthood fully, because adulthood now looks different in the millennial generation. We're not living on our own at 25 or at 21 like we thought we would be. We're not getting these amazing salaries that, complement our educations, because millennials actually happen to be the most educated generation. Most people have, masters, bachelors, etc. But we're not getting paid salary because salary has not inflated the way, the housing market has, the way education has. So we're kind of on the precipice, right, of adulthood, but in a way that we can't seem to fully break into it. And I think that this episode, we're really going to just talk about how you can do that.
Okay. I agree. I agree, but I also understand why it's happening this way. We were having this conversation before about, yes, we have the same struggles that our previous generations have faced, but we have new onset challenges that we're also dealing with, right? So previous generations also had to deal with like finding jobs, housing. I mean, there was a point in time where like the factories were dying and people didn't know where else they were going to turn to, what new industry. We have this issue now with COVID. Lots of people are graduating, can't find jobs, but also like the fact that we have student loans. So like, yes, we have the same issues plus some more. There are certain things that I'm just like, it makes sense, because if we're getting educated, it pushes our entry into the workforce, right? So that means you're getting a full-time job later than your parents would have. Because you have this debt, you shouldn't be settling down and having a family if you can't financially
immediately, which is also different from what our parents did, because they were having families quite quickly.
Exactly, younger, because if you didn't have this college debt, also the lifespan has expanded tremendously. I mean,
oh yeah, for sure.
So if you live to be 85, early 90s, do you really want to peak at 25? I just don't want people to get desperate. These struggles are real. The challenges are difficult. But do not let yourself get desperate. We're not even halfway through our lifespan.
We're not.
So to say that, oh, I need to peak, I need to get this full... yes, we need resources so it can happen. We need to have better paying jobs for sure, with better benefits, because that's where we need to really get to.
Girl.
Great benefits. But I feel like we have time. We can work. Our generation has to understand we have to make the changes. They're not going to get given to us by the previous generation.
I absolutely agree with you, to the point in which, like, I have been a big voice and a big advocate for younger people in politics. Mm-hmm. I think that it doesn't make sense that over half of our politicians are in an entirely different generation, but our generation makes up the majority of the workforce now. I feel as though when we're talking about, student loans, when we're talking about salaries, when we're talking about the housing market, all these things that, have a direct impact onto how a generation moves, it just doesn't make sense that a previous generation that cannot relate to the same circumstances are kind of making these rules and these standards for us that we really truly can no longer live by. Like, the circumstances don't allow us to. They actually said that 2020 and I think 2019 was the biggest baby boom that millennials have had, because millennials have actually been late to the ball to having kids. Yeah. And they were like, well, maybe this will stimulate the economy, but then the pandemic and all of these things happened, and so people are kind of like, well, what's to be expected from this generation? Like, when can we expect them to finally move into their own, to, finally get the houses, the families, etc.? Mm-hmm. And I have to say, instead of asking those questions, why not ask ourselves, what moves are we willing to make to finally get to that place where we're comfortable? Yeah. And I think that the first thing that we have to do is letting go of imposter syndrome, right? Yes. I think that we have been chasing this one idea of adulthood, of reality for so long that we don't know how to move within our own reality, right? Because we're in a different circumstance. We're in a different box. So then what do we have to do to kind of put ourselves in an area to succeed? And I think the first thing to do is just be like, yo, I'm not like that person, but I am myself and I'm doing the damn thing. And that's A, enough. B, if I want to do more, like, let's look into entrepreneurship. Generationally, millennials have also had the most entrepreneurial spirit. And I really like that.
Yeah. When I think about imposter syndrome, it's kind of hard for me to like shake it off, but I've been doing certain things, and I'm not only doing it for myself but for my friends. Like, there are things for me that are culturally different. So I'm Dominican, so I'm Caribbean, so there's certain things like moving out before you're married is not the wave for us, right? Cultures are like that. If you think about it, African, Asian, a lot of it is very, community-based. American culture is more individualistic.
Yeah.
And versus when it's a community-based thing where you all stay together, you all help support the home. So part of me is like, I'm moving at the right speed culturally, where I'm like, I'm not married, so I'm not moving out. But American-wise, I'm not moved out at 21. So people assume it's just you can't. And it's like, I feel like that's one of those things that we have to look at when it comes to imposter syndrome, what our cultural difference is. For sure.
I think that with imposter syndrome, we really minimize what our talents are, what our accomplishments are. Like, we have a whole different rubric that doesn't apply to us in order to grade ourselves on success. I don't think that that's fair to us.
No.
I think that you should evaluate yourself and be like, yo, these are my strengths. These are my talents. This is what I want. Exactly. Be your own hype man. Like,
the other day I was talking to a couple months ago, me and my friend are relatively close in age. I think she's 6 months older than me. But we were talking about certain things that we haven't done. And I just remember feeling like she was putting herself down. And I'm like, girl, before you were 25, you had your master's done, which is a feat in itself. Most people don't do that till their 30s, right? Right? You had your master's done, you've traveled, you have your car, you have a full-time job. I'm like, you've hit all these, milestones, but you only see all the ones you haven't accomplished. So sometimes you have to sit down and be like, yo, you know what? I did this. Not because of it, but in spite of all the challenges I've had. And I have to do that to myself too, because 15-year-old Bala would have thought I would have been married with kids right now. And I have to go, well, I'm not married with kids. I would like to be, but I'm getting my master's. I have a car. I'm a responsible adult. I pay my bills on time. I have
great friends.
I have
amazing hobbies. I travel. I am passionate about so many things.
There's so much.
I am starting a small business. I am you need to give yourself that grace. And I feel like you cannot succeed until you do, right?
Yes.
Because if you're only seeing your weaknesses and not knowing how to exploit your advantages, it becomes very difficult to market yourself to anyone, let alone yourself,
Another reason why I feel like people get imposter syndrome is we have scared people into being wrong or failures. We all grew up with oh, there's no stupid questions, but honestly, people make you feel stupid when you ask questions, when you ask for help. I'm going to tell you right now, those people are assholes. And those are people who themselves never ask questions and make many mistakes and only learn because they keep repeating the same mistakes and learn as they go. It's okay to ask for guidance. When you have a mentor, it just makes it easier. And that's the purpose of what we're doing here, is that we've done things, and thankfully we've had people in our lives to help us, move around. Exactly. And we want to do that for others. You look for mentorship, look for guidance, also give it on, pass it on to your friends. I think we need to start sharing the wealth and the knowledge of certain things. There are times where I get overwhelmed, right? I was talking about debt last year and it overwhelmed me, and I remember having anxiety about it. And then one day I walked into the bank and I sat down and I felt like I was the only person in the world. I'm like, I have debt. What am I supposed to do? And she's like, girl, everybody got debt. Yeah. She's like, don't worry. People come in here freaked out, and I felt like, okay, I'm not stupid. I'm not failing. I might not be where I need to be, but I'm not failing at life. I'm not doing everything I need to. You can't fail at life. Just take that out of your mind. You cannot fail at life. How can you fail at life?
And there's also no manual for this. So we're playing it all by ear. And I think that what you've said is so profound, is that no one asks questions anymore. Everyone's embarrassed. Everyone assumes that they got to do it themselves, that they got to, put themselves on and all these things. Yeah. I'm like, you should have a support system. There is no such thing. I think that we've praised individualism for so long. It becomes difficult. It becomes embarrassing almost to ask for help. And I'm like, that is the most... Ignorance only breeds more ignorance. Ask a question. Don't be embarrassed. No one just knew it at birth. They had to learn it. You know what I mean?
But that's the thing. We as a society praise people who are just naturally gifted or quick with it. We talk about, oh, I was in the Bluebird reading group, and that was the fast group. We've always praised people who get it quickly. Yeah, most improved should be a thing. Guess what? Yeah. You started up here and it took you a while. You got there. Granted, no one's going to say you're the greatest since, sliced bread. But we've never acknowledged, okay, it takes me time, but I did it. We only applaud people who just are naturally gifted. And that's great for them. But that might not be you. You can still learn and get it done.
And I think that's why it's so important that we applaud the process.
Yes.
We're so used to applauding the end result, and we're so used to taking the process for granted that we don't know how to remain in the thick of it when we're in the process. I think that a really bad habit that we have generationally, and I can even speak from the eye, is that in the thick of the moment, we want to get to the end goal, but when we're climbing up that mountain per se, we're just you know what, it's too much, I'm tapping out. And you don't even know how far you were from the top. The thing is, you're not where you want to be, but you're not where you were, and that is an accomplishment. The whole point of life is progress. We want to fall forward. I would rather fail every single day, but get a little closer to my goal every single day. Take a step and fall forward. I think that is such an accomplishment. It's so underrated, but it needs to be something that we do more often. And for ourselves, because no one is going to clap for you when you don't clap for yourself.
That's it right there.
That is a huge thing.
That's one thing I've noticed with imposter syndrome. Because we're so accustomed to you're applauded when you do right, when it's not happening, you're like, am I failing? Am I doing bad? Sometimes people won't notice your worth. Sometimes people won't see your work ethic. Sometimes people won't praise you for anything you do. I remember as a kid, I would wash dishes, and then one day I cleaned the kitchen really well. And I was like, hey, Mom, look what I did. She was like, I'm not going to applaud you for doing what you had to do. It might be that you do all the work, you're successful, and you still don't get any praise.
That's okay.
That's okay. You should have to do it because you enjoy doing what you're doing, because you're proud of yourself because of what you're doing, and that the effort that you put is the most that you can give. The work that you did is the best that you can do. And that should be sufficient for you. And I feel like that's the thing. We've applauded people who are gifted, who are quick-witted, and we don't applaud people for, being slow and steady in the race. You don't necessarily need the applause, but you know what? Applaud yourself. Write down the things that you've accomplished.
And dude, I get that.
Treat yourself too.
Oh my god, I be treating myself. In fact, I need to stop. I'm like, no progress, gift. I'm like,
it's positive reinforcement.
So I think that movement in silence should refer to you not being accustomed to having people praise you while you're in movement. I think that for the bulk of our lives, particularly as children, we were used to people being like, go, go, go. And I think that as adults, particularly as we're looking for support systems, you should find people that, yes, encourage you, but that does not necessarily mean that they're going to hold your hand throughout the process of growing up or adulthood or just progress. Like, people are working on their own thing. And I think that finding a support group that, yes, encourages you is very important, but also knowing how to encourage yourself.
Yes.
There's a balance to that, and that's very important.
I agree. I think when you look for that type of mentorship, and you're gonna not pity yourself, but you'll learn to hold yourself accountable, but also you'll learn to be kind to yourself when you have that type of mentorship, where it's like when you start beating yourself up, that person can be like, hey, it's okay, it's a mistake, but this is where you can turn around, versus like, woe is me. But also that person will be like, this is a great job, but they also won't hype up your ego, where you start having this conflated sense of self.
Okay, y'all, that's all today for the GSM Podcast. Thank you for joining us. I'm Esther.
I'm Lola.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.